Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today I would like to talk about the Nuremberg trials, about the case of Rudolf Hess. First of all, I will say something about his life. Then I'm going to say something about the IMT and the crimes that he was accused of. Rudolf Hess was born in Egypt and he was the son of a German businessman. He joined the army as a volunteer during the First World War, and by the end of that war he attained the rank of lieutenant after a period of service in the Air Force. After the war, he was active in extreme right-wing movements and he joined the NSDAP, and that was of course the Nazi party. He was sentenced to 15 months imprisonment following the failed Munich putsch, and he became Hitler's personal secretary, and it was him that Hitler dictated the major part of his book Mein Kampf. Having become a close friend of the Führer, he was appointed as one of his deputies, and he became a member of the Defense Council of the Reich, a member of the Reichstag, which is the German parliament, and he held the rank of general in the SS and the SA. Later on, he was officially designated as the successor to Hitler just after Göring. Later in 1941, he piloted alone his personal plane to Scotland, and he was hoping to convince the British to conclude an alliance against the Russians. And the rest of the war he spent there in prison. Rudolf Hess was accused of having used his various official functions, his personal influence and close contacts to the Führer to promote the accession to power of the Nazi conspirators and the consolidation of their power in Germany. In addition, Hess was accused of participating in plans for military, economic and psychological warfare, and he was also accused of taking part in political plans for war of aggression. Furthermore, he was accused of taking part in the planning of Nazi policy related to foreign affairs, and he was accused of having authorized, directed and taken part in acts constituting war crimes and crimes against humanity. At the end of the war, Hess was handed over to the IMT, which is the International Military Tribunal by the British authorities, who has been holding him in detention since 1941. After the Second World War, numerous trials against war criminals and those responsible for Nazi crimes took place in Germany and other countries. And it is not possible to give here an overview of all the trials, but I'm going to talk here especially about case of Rudolf Hess, and I'm going to say some facts about the trial itself. The German armed forces surrendered unconditionally in 1945, and the Allies, USA, Soviet Union, Great Britain and France took over all governmental functions in Germany, and they divided Germany in 4 zones of occupation. After the adoption of the London chapter on August 8, 1945, they set up the International Military Tribunal, IMT, and that was all in order to judge the major German war criminals. And those crimes were, for example, crimes against peace, war crimes and crimes against humanity. The IMT was composed of 4 judges and 4 substitutes who were appointed by the 4 Allied powers, and this tribunal drew up its own rules and procedure. The IMT indicated 24 people in total, and those trials took place from November 14th, 1945 until October 1st, 1946. 12 defendants were sentenced to death, 3 were acquitted, and 7 others were sentenced to prison terms ranging from 10 years to life imprisonment. In one case, the procedure was suspended for health reasons, and in other, the defendant committed suicide before even this trial has started. Charged with counts 1, that was the plan of conspiracy, 2 crimes against peace, 3 war crimes, and 4 crimes against humanity, he pleaded not guilty. At the outset of the trial, doubts arose as to the mental faculties of Rudolf Hess. Nevertheless, the tribunal decided on the 1st of December 1945, and that was all based essentially on medical reports and a declaration from the accused himself that there was no reason not to proceed with the trials against him. In its verdict, the IMT held that Hess was perfectly aware of that what he had done, and for the judges, up until his flight to Scotland, he was the closest confidant of Hitler. Their relationship was such that Hess must have been aware of Hitler's plans of aggression from the very beginning, and Hess took action on each occasion when it was necessary to put these plans into operation. Moreover, the tribunal considered the proof existed of the involvement of the Chancellery under Hess' direction in the commission of war crimes. Although ruling that Hess has not participated in these crimes, the tribunal stated that in all probability he was aware of them. These elements, however, were not sufficient to establish his criminal responsibility. The court deliberated for nearly 2 months before passing judgment on 30th of September, with the defendants being individually sentenced on October 1st. He was found guilty on 2 counts. Crimes against peace, planning and preparing a war aggression, and conspiracy with other German leaders to commit crimes. He was found not guilty of war crimes and crimes against humanity, and he was given a life sentence, one of 7 Nazis to receive prison sentence at the trial. These 7 were transported by aircraft to the military prison at Spandau in Berlin, and the Soviet member of the tribunal, Major General Nikitchenko, filmed a document recording this descent of Hess' sentence. He felt that the death sentence was warranted. Hess died on 17th of August 1987, and he was then 93 years old. He passed away in a summer house that has been set up in the prison garden as a reading room. He committed a suicide, and he took an extension cord from one of the lamps. He strung it over a window and hanged himself. As a short note to his family was found in his pocket, and he was actually thanking them for all that they have been done. The 4 powers released a statement on 17th of September, ruling a death as suicide, as I said. He was initially buried at a secret location to avoid media attention and demonstrations by Nazi sympathizers, but later on he was reinterred in a family plot, and his wife was also buried beside him. His lawyer felt that he was actually too old and frail to have managed to kill himself. His son claimed that his father has been murdered by the British Secret Intelligence Service. And why is that? They said that it's why because they wanted to prevent him from revealing information about British misconduct during the war. The gravestone, which bore the sentence "Ich hab gewagt," which means "I have dared," was destroyed. And this prison was demolished in 1987 to prevent it from becoming a neo-Nazi shrine. Thank you very much.